Over the past few months, I talk about games revolving dragon protagonists. Dragons where you can play as them to save the world and be a hero, instead of being the usual villain that you fight as the final boss. And considering this entire year is the year of the dragon, according to the Chinese zodiac, in the Lunar New Year calendar, I think this is the best opportunity to talk about them. And I talk about 3. Why 3? Well, I lived through 3 eras of dragon years, and the next dragon year won't come until 2036, 12 years from now. So instead of talking about each games individually for like 10-20 minutes, I'm gonna talk about 8 different games that I discovered where you can play as dragon in their video games. Just a little bit about the history, about the game itself, and then just move on to the next game. I'm very tired of the 3 games, so let's just treat this like a bonus episode. Couple of rules though. Number 1, games where you can play as the dragon. You have the full control of it, you can touch it, you can use it to the maximum. It doesn't relegate to secondary character, you can play it as the fullest finish. Number 2, dragons only in video games. No TV show, no movies, no cartoon, etc. those stuff. And 3, video game where you play as dragon protagonists. In a world where dragon were portrayed as the bad guy, let's switch it up and where we play as the good guys. Dragons are cool. We don't want to make them look evil. They have good intention, so let's keep it that way. So without further ado, let Bitfire begin. Double Dragon is an arcade game released by Technos Japan, released in 1987. It's the game that revolutionized beat 'em up as a whole. You can play as one of the 2 characters, Billy and Jimmy, but unfortunately they aren't from the Year of the Dragon. But hey, this game is called Double Dragon, and I guess the 2 characters are dragon as well, and you will play as one of the twins. I guess it's called Double Dragon? Anyway, your girlfriend has been kidnapped and you're gonna have to go on and beat the crap out of everyone to stop them. It's your usual beat 'em up where you go around, beat enemies, and move on to the next round. You have to be very quick, gentle with the button, and try to avoid getting hit because this game is brutal, and considering it's an arcade game, it won't take too long to steal your quarter. You can jump, kick, punch, and couple combination to make the enemy lose to your knee. You can also throw enemies if you're good enough, and considering it's a beat 'em up, your constant mashing of buttons will make sure you will understand what to do. But unfortunately, despite being the one that revolutionized arcade game, the game doesn't age well. Controls are a little bit janky, the physics doesn't work well, and as a whole the gameplay is pretty frustrating. And with the enemy being very relentless, especially later on, it won't take too long for you to insert another coin and another one and another one. Overall, it's a pretty good game, and as much as I respect the game that helped bloom the arcade scene, this game just doesn't age well. Dragon Breed is developed by IREM, released in 1989. IREM is synonymous with their famous shmup, the granddaddy that is R-Type, released in 1987. Well, I guess this is basically R-Type, but with dragons. You use your dragon body to block enemy attack, push enemy around, and try to survive the onslaught. It's a big advantage because when you try to avoid enemy attack, you can use the dragon body to their advantage and try to knock off as much as possible. As you can see here, I have no problem avoiding most of the attack, and the dragon, being a dragon, is so cool. He's immortal, and despite whatever thrown at him, he can just pretty much avoid all of them. You can collect different power-ups that have different features to them, like the red one that fires straight forward, and the dragon can just release a long fire of breath. Blue one releases electric current that shoots upwards downwards, and yellow one that fires shots everywhere. Yeah, you can see they take some inspiration from R-Type. The latter two though lets you call up the dragon to release a special attack, which is really cool. Oh yeah, you are piloting the dragon and the human characters can also get off from the dragon to fight enemies on foot to make it like a run and gun. Unfortunately though, being a human is not as cool as dragon because one single bullet will make sure you are losing a life, and when you lose all the life, you're gonna use a continue. The game has some similarity with the art type itself. The enemies are organic, the backgrounds also have some inspirational art type, and the enemy bosses themselves, the surrounding, all have some this organic grotesque nature to it, which is pretty cool. It's gonna suck that this game never got home port apart from some home computer ports, but other than that, the game was never ported anywhere else. Overall, really solid game, and it was also released on the same year as R-Type 2. Saint Dragon is released by Jaleco in 1989. And Jaleco, as we know, is the goat of mediocrity. Wait! Why does it look so familiar? The only different thing is that you don't control a human onto the dragon. You control the dragon as a whole, and unfortunately not as cool as a dragon in Dragon Breed. I mean, sure, you can use your tail to deflect any attack, but your head is pretty much the weak point. Every time you get hit by the enemy, you lose a life. You touch the ground, the ceiling, you lose a life as well. What a weak dragon. The graphics also look pretty lame, uninspiring, and pretty bland. I mean, they could do something better, but this is the best they could do? There are a bunch of enemies that just come right at you, and the difficulty just ramps up pretty quickly even on stage 1. Seriously, this game is everything but cool. Dragon Gun, released by Data East in 1992. This is a pretty overlooked shooter. Like your games are pretty popular, but no one even seems to remember this one until recent years where it gained some resurgence. Kinda weird. Anyway, in Dragon Gun, you place one of the two characters wielding the gun made of dragon. And if you look at the arcade machine itself, you just look so cool. You just look so cool. You're wielding the gun and try to decimate everything on the screen. You go around shooting all the creatures that came from the underworld based off mythological stuff. The creatures are grotesque, really spooky, and go around in this rail shooter, fight a bunch of mythological creatures with different types of them. Some moving on the ground, some fly towards you, and some just throw a bunch of targets at you. Like look at this one where you fight this giant skeleton. You are equipped with 3 bombs, and every time you have one remaining, the bomb will refuel by itself and ready for you to use, and the cycle continues, which is really good, but not fast enough to help you avoid the onslaught. You can also let go the trigger to charge up the attack, which is pretty cool. I really love the surrounding as well. Sometimes you move in the hallway, and sometimes you fly up in the sky. There are different stages, and every stage have different themes to it, and they're pretty cool and never get monotonous. The only thing though is the game can get pretty rampant with difficulty. The sound department also left a little to be desired, but hey, the entire game is still good, and that's the important thing to it. The game never get released anywhere else, and I don't think it will get ported anytime soon. Panzer Dragoon, released by Sega Team Andromeda in March of 1995. It acts as one of the launch titles for Sega Saturn, the ill-fated console. Say what you want, the Sega Saturn is a failure. You move around in this section, shooting at the enemy and locked onto it, similar to Raid Force. As a result, the game is pretty exhilarating, controlling the dragon, shooting everything at you, trying to dodge all of them. They are pretty fun. Also, you can press the button to do this rotation 360 around the target to shoot everything off from your back. This not only means that you have to shoot forward from the left, right, and backward, and you're gonna have to multitask multiple times so that you won't get bombarded by everything. The first few stages are pretty good, but once you reach stage 4, oh, good luck, you're gonna get wrecked if you're not careful. The texture map polygon looks pretty good for its time, and in some way it still holds up by Chile's standard. Yeah, sure, some of the polygon surely doesn't look too good, but hey, the game still looks pretty fun, the dragon design is pretty good, the human character looks pretty nice, and Relic looks pretty good as well. You feel like you're being on a big adventure across this mythological land. It looks pretty cool. Not to mention the fantastic soundtrack with the CD quality to it and some orchestral feel that makes you feel like you're going on an adventure to stop the impending evil. Unfortunately, this is the only Panzer the Lagoon game that I can play. This along the remake at least. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei was only released on the Saturn and never got ported. Panzer Dragoon Saga was also on the Saturn as well, and from what I heard, they lost the source code and no one can port the game again. And of course, Panzer the Lagoon Orta on the original Xbox still haven't been ported to this day. With no way to play it, you have no way but to resort to emulation. I mean, come on, if you're not gonna sell those games again, and the only way to play legitimately is buying second-hand copy at an expensive price, which is ridiculous, do not blame us for emulating it. And the fact that some greedy company still want to take them down while also not providing any option to play them officially prove the hypocrisy of those corporations. They want to erase history, and we should never let it happen. Hashtag preservation is important. Siren, the dragon weapon, is released by Kaneko in March of 1938. The makers of Airbuster, DJ Boy, and the fantastic Nexer on the TurboGrafx 16. You can pick one of the 3 dragons, but I will pick the red one because red is synonymous with the Lunar New Year. It's a pretty basic shmup. You go around, shoot around, and you're equipped with a banish system that helps you to destroy everything with the charge attack. Like, how cool is it? You press the button and bam! All enemies were decimated, but at the same time you will slow down a lot, so you gotta be careful and be playing strategically if you want to survive. The game is pretty good, the song is good, music is good, graphic looks pretty detailed as well, the character on the dragon looks pretty detailed, lots of attention to it. It's a pretty solid shmup from Kaneko. It's a pretty solid shmup that didn't get too much attention, and you all should give it a try. This was also the last shmup made by Kaneko, as they were shut down in 2006. And finally, Dragon Blaze, released by Psycho, more like Psycho, in 2000. The makers of Gunbird and Strikers 1945 series. You can pick one of the 4 dragons, each with varying features. Some move fast with weaker firepower, while some move slower but with fire with power being better, vice versa. Different characters for you to experience. The graphics are full of details to it, whether you're on this flower stage, underwater, or even high above the sky. Every levels have nice attention to detail to it, and it puts you right in the mood. Not to mention the fantastic soundtrack, with the fictional fantasy flavor to it to keep you flying towards the goal. There are 7 stages to it, and just like other traditional Psycho shmup, first 4 of them are randomized in different orders. You got your standard normal shot, a charge shot that upon holding down the button will release a bunch of special attack to it. The unique feature is that you can dismount from the dragon itself and let the dragon fly towards the enemy and destroy it at a closer distance, and then call it back when you need it to come back, which reminds me of the part from R-Type. Overall, a fantastic shmup from Psycho, and too bad they never make a follow-up to it, unlike Psycho, Strikers, and Gunbird. And so those are some of the notable video game dragons where you can play as protagonists. There are a bunch of other dragons you can play as, but I'll save them for other day, and the video will really get too long, and being that this is just a bonus episode from the 3 that I talked about previously, I think this is a good time to stop. In the end, dragon should never be viewed as an evil force. Yeah, sure, they may be daunting from their size, from their movement, and from their mythological story to it, but you can't deny that dragons have good hearts to them. They carry the legacy of the actual dragon that went extinct. Those may have long gone, but in the world of video games, these dragons are still with us forever. That's all I gotta say for this video. If you enjoyed what you see, be sure to like, share, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a thing. Comment on your opinion on this topic. Do you like dragon? Do you think dragon is good or evil? Which dragon video game you like? Which dragon characters that you love? Let's have a peaceful discussion. Thank you for watching, and have a great dragon year.